Okay, the waiting room has been admitted.
Well, thank you, Cheryl. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here with us today. As usual, I want to call this Judicial Council General Session to order. Preliminarily, let me give you some reminder of housekeeping instructions. If you are a guest to our meeting today, please email rsvp@georgiacourts.gov so we have a record of your attendance for our minutes. This meeting is being recorded, both audio and visual. It's also being live streamed and, of course, is always open to the public and the press. During any voting items, in order to expedite matters and make it easier to determine votes, we will only call for opposition only. I also ask, as always, that you mute your devices when you're not speaking. To my knowledge, Ms. Clanton, we don't have any members unable to attend, so no designees, at least as of a couple of days ago. Is that still correct?
That is correct, Chief.
All right. And to my knowledge, we have no special guests today. Is that likewise correct?
That's also, but everybody's special on the Judicial Council.
Special members, just no special guests today. So with that, thank you all. Thank you all for being here. We'll roll right into our agenda. I'll tell you ahead of time, this is going to be a fairly quick meeting. And so if you'll bear with me, I think I can get you out of here in a reasonable amount of time. We'll start, Ms. Clanton, with a roll call of judicial members that have not already been accounted for by this point.
Right. Let me verify that the following people are here. Judge Hamrick. Judge Stewart.
Just FYI, Judge Hamrick is on the bench, and I will be handling his update for him.
Thank you, Presiding Justice. Judge Stewart. Judge Kennett.
Here.
Great. Great. Judge Brunt.
Present.
Judge Ballard.
Here.
Judge Wolf. State Bar President Tony Del Campo. Chief, we've got a quorum. We can proceed.
I am here.
Oh, thank you.
Good morning, Tony. Thank you for being with us, and thank you all of you for being with us. We do have a quorum. We're going to proceed with item number 3 on the agenda. Judge McRae will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Chief Justice, for this opportunity. I appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. If everyone is ready, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you all, and thank you, Judge McRae, for leading us in that.
Yes,
next,
sir.
we submitted the minutes of our prior December 8, 2023 general session. You all have had an opportunity to review those minutes. Are there any edits or corrections or supplements to those minutes? Hearing none, is there a motion that those minutes be approved as submitted?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
And a motion by Judge McCord. I don't know who the second was from.
Dear Jackson.
Judge Dear Jackson. Thank you. Thank you, Judge. Got a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Any opposition? Hearing none, Ms. Clanton, the minutes are approved unanimously. We next move to item 5 on the agenda, which are Judicial Council Committee reports. I will begin with an Arpa Funding Committee report. There is no written report. I will give you a brief oral report. As you know, the awards granted at the beginning of calendar year 23 now have a performance period that runs through December 31 of 2025. As of last Friday, February the 2nd, $18,270,681 had been reimbursed for expenses under this calendar year 23-25 award. A couple of reminders. Over $54 million was initially awarded in calendar year 23, with another $20.7 million in additional funding awarded in November. Those awards are the ones that carry through calendar year 25. As previously reported, $15.5 million was reimbursed for the calendar year 22 expenses. The committee intends to accept applications for non-new funding budget amendments during April of this year. The opportunity for new funding during subsequent cycles is undetermined at this time. All circuits are encouraged to focus on spending carryover funds from calendar year 23 awards. The committee will expect to recalculate the status of each of those awards to coincide with the expected fall 2024 application period. Again, I ask you, if you've got funds, do your best to try to expend those before our committee has conversations about what to do with unspent funds. Information about the April 24 application cycle will be published in advance of the application window currently. That application window, mark your calendars, is set to run from April 1st to April 12th. So as you're preparing for the 2024 application cycle, please calendar April 1 to April 12 as the application window. Our ARPA AOC team continues to work closely with all of the circuits on budget and reimbursement processes. They held a technical assistance training on Zoom on Wednesday of this week, and we were fortunate to have 31 representatives from grantee circuits attending that training. Hope that those attendees found that training helpful, and I really appreciate the ARPA fiscal team for making that training available. I know it's proving beneficial. As a reminder, the ARPA grant dashboard reflects the status of reimbursement requests in real time. Circuits, we would ask to please consult that dashboard prior to reaching out about reimbursement statuses, as we're obviously busy doing any number of other things, trying to get reimbursements made, but also trying to get ready for this upcoming application window. As always, I want to thank Ms. Clanton and her ARPA AOC team that has really done a terrific job for us in administering this grant process. They're always available to answer questions if you have any. But members of the committee, that'll be my report for the ARPA funding committee. I also want to thank Judge Mercier, who co-chairs that committee with me, and for the work that she's done on that as well. Next, we move to item B on the agenda, which is the legislation committee update. And I turn it over to Presiding Justice Nels Peterson.
Thank you, Chief. There's no written report in your materials, but I'll provide a brief status report on where we are in the legislative session. Let's see. Today, and Tracy, when you sent this to me yesterday, is today 18 or is today 19?
Today is day 18.
Okay, today is day 18. Crossover day is in 3 weeks, and that'll be a little bit earlier than it usually is. That'll be day 28 instead of day 30. So that'll be Thursday, February 29th under the current schedule. The council has previously voted to support 6 initiatives. First, judicial compensation reform, coming out of the ad hoc committee on judicial salaries and supplements. This is House Bill 947, sponsored by Representative Rob Leverett. It is unanimously passed out of the House Judiciary Committee. It is in House Rules. Representative Leverett has already made the presentation to the Rules Committee requesting that it be placed on a calendar, and it is eligible to come to the floor any day. There's a second piece to that has actually been broken out separately. Part of the ad hoc committee recommendation was to establish a compensation commission to advise the legislature going forward on compensation matters for other trial courts of limited jurisdiction that are not covered by this particular bill, and also district attorneys and public defenders and other key players within the judicial system. The legislature decided to take that out of the bill, and instead of going straight to creating a commission, they have introduced House Resolution 1042, which would create a joint legislative study committee with 8 members, 4 from the Senate and 4 from the House, to study the issue, including whether a permanent commission is desired. So keep an eye on that. That resolution is also sponsored by Representative Rob Leverett. Next, the petition for review cleanup, which appears to be an annual bill we have these days. provides for technical and conforming amendment cleanup as a result of the passage of House Bill 916 in 2022 and House Bill 186 in 2023. This bill is Senate Bill 450, sponsored by Senator John Kennedy, the President pro tem in the Senate, and it is assigned to Senate Judiciary awaiting a hearing. Judicial Security, Judicial Council voted unanimously to support a recommendation from the Standing Committee on Judicial Security that would restrict the availability of publicly identifiable information about judges that is within the possession of state and local government entities. That is with legislative counsel, and we anticipate it being introduced in the Senate, if not today, then early next week, and possibly today. Next, the probate court fee schedule coming from the Council of Probate Court Judges, and again, of course, endorsed unanimously by Judicial Council. Legislation to update and streamline the probate court fee schedule. That is Senate Bill 232, sponsored by, again, Senator Kennedy, and that was passed out of Senate Judiciary on Tuesday of this week. Next, we have juvenile treatment courts from the Council of Accountability Court Judges, and again, approved by Judicial Council. This is legislation that would authorize the Council of Accountability Court Judges to oversee certification and peer review processes for juvenile treatment courts, as it does for the other accountability court types under its statutory purview. That is House Bill 873, sponsored by Chairman Stan Gunner, and that passed House Juvenile Justice last week and is in House rules. And then finally, we have the extension of municipal court judge minimum terms from the Council of Municipal Court Judges and endorsed by Judicial Council. That would extend the minimum term for municipal court judges and provide other amendments regarding service and removal for cause. This is House Bill 456, sponsored by Representative Stan Gunner. And congratulations to the municipal court judges, because that actually passed the House on Tuesday of this week and has crossed over to the Senate, and y'all are ahead of all the rest of us. So nice work.
Thank you.
Next, the council's top 3 ranked judgeship recommendations have funding requests in the FY25 budgets, and those bills are moving along. Tifton is House Bill 906. That has passed the House and crossed over the Senate, as has Houston in House Bill 992 and Douglas in Senate Bill 884. There are also a couple of other bills that have been introduced, but that no funding has been requested for. That's Augusta in Senate Bill 5 and Tallapoosa in Senate Bill 347. We are also monitoring legislation from the Georgia Child Support Commission, updating the child support guidelines. That's Senate Bill 454, sponsored by Chairman Brian Strickland, and it is assigned to his Senate Judiciary Committee. So I would expect that to receive a hearing before long. And I think that's what we've got on a legislative update. As you can tell, there is a lot going on. There is a lot moving fast. Talking to every legislator I talk to comments on how fast this session has started. And so we continue our weekly calls with the members of the Judicial Council Legislation Committee and judicial staff, including today at noon after this meeting. And so those of you who also serve on that committee, I look forward to talking with y'all again at noon. And particularly as things are moving quickly and there are all these initiatives and all sorts of other things out there, please continue to share information through the committee, even if they seem only to affect one class of court, so we can speak with one voice and coordinate. Feel free to reach out to me or Tracy Mason with any questions or feedback.
Thank you, Presiding Justice. Let me just say, during this time of the year, it's extraordinarily busy for all of us. The Presiding Justice is spending a considerable amount of time following this legislation. I thank him for that work. It takes quite a bit of work between the collaboration between he and Cheryl and Tracy at the AOC. And I also want to thank the members of the Judicial Council and the members of their respective classes of courts for faithfully adhering to the Judicial Council legislative process. I think we're making progress on initiatives that are important to each of you, and I just want you all to know how much I appreciate your collaboration and really appreciate the presiding justice and his work on the legislation committee and the work of the AOC in helping. So with that, we next move to item 5C on your agenda. Materials are found at tab 2, and this will also be the presiding justice presenting on the budget committee.
Well, thank you, Chief. And let me also extend my thanks to Justice Bethel, who has been really carrying a laboring oar for us as well on all of these things. And I am filling in for him on this because he is handling Senate appropriations this afternoon on behalf of a whole host of us. So there's a written report included in the materials under tab 2. Quick status update. The House Appropriations Committee met on Tuesday, voted out their committee substitute to House Bill 915, the FY24 amended budget, which then crossed over to the Senate. The House agreed to fund the Council's request for an economic impact study on access to justice initiatives, as well as an increase in operational expenses for the Council of Municipal Court Judges. The House did not fund the Council's request for additional funds to support grants for medical legal partnerships in the amended budget, but we will continue to advocate for those funds before the Senate and especially in the FY25 general budget. The House voted on the amended budget on Wednesday and approved it 161-2, and that is now pending before the Senate. That same afternoon, the Senate Appropriations Judicial Subcommittee, chaired by Senator John Kennedy, held their meeting regarding the judicial branch's FY24 amended requests. Justice Bethel presented the Judicial Council's request to that committee. And then this afternoon, the House Appropriations Public Safety Subcommittee meets at 1 to begin on the FY25 general budget. And for those courts that are affected by the Judicial Compensation Reform Bill, that is the budget that has the requests that are associated with that bill as well. And Justice Bethel will be taking point for us on those issues. AOC staff will continue to provide updates via email as meetings are announced. Please reach out to them if they have any questions. And let me in particular highlight Andrew Zoll, who does great work for us in this space. And today is his birthday. So happy birthday, Andrew.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you for lifting up Justice Bethel and all the work he does for the Judicial Council and their budget, and also for us with legislation affecting all classes of court. And happy birthday, Andrew Zoll. We greatly appreciate you. Next, moving to item 5D, the report from the Judicial Security Committee, and I call on Justice Sean Ellen LaGrua if she's with us this morning.
I am, Chief. Good morning, and thank you. I'd like to start by thanking the Chief Justice who highlighted the work of this committee and how important it is during the State of the Judiciary address. You've just heard an update from Presiding Justice Peterson on the status of the legislation moving through the legislature on protecting and restricting personal identifiable information for judges and their spouses. We're keeping our fingers crossed that that continues to move in a good direction. On the training piece, Chief Wigington and his team at the Georgia Public Safety Training Center have completed building a training block for judges that we will be rolling out in the coming months for all classes of courts. The committee will be meeting as a whole committee in the next 6 weeks to look at next steps. I would like to reiterate the importance to all of the classes of court. If you know of any threats or concerns within your classes of court, please let myself or my co-chair of this committee, Judge Brian Rickman with the Court of Appeals, know so that we can keep a log and track what's going on. The chief and I communicated in the last couple of weeks, and we are not aware of any data on state level courts that is tracking this at this point. The federal government does track federal judges, but I'd like us to, at least in Georgia, be able to know what's actually going on in the state. So I encourage you to direct any of those concerns or complaints to me or Judge Rickman. That's the report, Chief. Thank you for your highlighting your great job at the State of the Judiciary this week.
Well, thank you, Justice LaGrua, and thank you for all of you and the members of the Judicial Security Committee on not only your review and your gap analysis and your recommendations, but your support of initiatives to get to the legislature and other matters affecting the safety of our judges. So I reiterate that if you know of threats, any threats to any class of court, please make sure that we know about those so we can keep track. Appreciate that report, Justice LaGrua. Next, moving to the Technology Committee, which is item 5E in your agenda. There are some written materials to be found at tab 3. Not sure if Justice LaGrua or Judge Kelly are presenting on that, but I will turn it over to them.
With your permission, Chief, I will defer to Judge Kelly.
Okay.
Judge Justice, the Technology Committee met on December the 14th. We heard various reports from about 5 different subcommittees, and of course, a few reports from our very capable, dedicated AOC IT staff. The highlights of that, one sad one is that Judge Altman, who's been a member of our committee for many years and has been chaired of our subcommittee on rules and forms, is retiring from the committee, and I want to thank him for his service publicly today. He's done something that a lot of people just working on forms and rules on technology matters is not something very exciting, and he's been very dedicated in that and has worked very diligently on that. The highlights from the subcommittees were that you'll notice there's still continuous improvements to our state gateway and a lot more to come. We got to see some previews of that. One thing I want to highlight that we've been talking about in our committee and the IT staff has worked on is our virtual calendar call. It's a program that whether you are if you're a judge and you send out emails for like a status conference, this can really help a judge of any class of courts. It was developed for superior courts, but I think it can be used in any court in the state to help a judge in organizing their status calls electronically, whether you have a very sophisticated system or no system at all. This can it's a free tool that could help. If you're interested, please reach out to Ben Luke and he'll get you set up on testing that to see if it could be a benefit to you. I want to continue to remind that we have training scheduled for the whole state on different matters, whether it's Excel, Word, Outlook. And so pay attention to those in the newsletter. Make note that CDX, of course, has issued new standards, and those are, of course, listed in the Judicial Council materials from last time. We heard reports from the Data Collection Committee and a few other committees, but those are in the written materials. And if you're interested, I'll let people go out and read that. So we have forming an AI subcommittee, which ought to be very exciting and should have a good report for the Judicial Council at our next meeting. That's my report, Mr. Chief Justice.
Well, thank you, Judge Kelly. We really appreciate all of the work of the Technology Committee, which is becoming more and more burdensome for all of you because of the advances in technology affecting the courts. But we're greatly appreciative for the work of Judge Altman and all of the work of your committee. So thank you. With that, I will now move to item 6 on the agenda, which is a report from Ms. Clanton on behalf of the Judicial Council AOC.
Thank you, Chief. Justices, judges, and judicial branch leaders. Chief Justice Boggs presented his second State of the Judiciary to the Georgia General Assembly on Wednesday of this week and addressed the need for improved judicial security, the workforce development challenges facing the judicial system, the progress trial courts are making clearing case backlogs, and the judicial branch's commitment to upholding the rule of law. Chief Justice Boggs was optimistic about what was ahead, but remained realistic about the challenges we face. And I agree. The Chief Justice closed his remarks with a quote from former Chief Justice Robert Benham that I thought was particularly poignant. Throughout history, there are 3 great professions: medicine because it preserves the body, theology because it preserves the spirit, and law because it preserves civilization. Wise words indeed. A recording of the Chief Justice's speech is archived on the Supreme Court of Georgia's website. As you heard earlier, the Judicial Council Standing Committee on Legislation, chaired by the presiding Justice Peterson, is hard at work. If you are interested, I invite you to visit legislation.georgiacourts.gov, shown here, to access our bill tracking tool, which will allow you to keep tabs on proposed legislation and read a weekly legislative update drafted by our legislation team. The General Assembly anticipates adjourning sine die on Thursday, March 28th. Speaking of the legislative session, it was both magistrate court judges and probate court judges' day at the Capitol on Thursday, February 1st. Days such as this provide a wonderful opportunity for judges to interact personally with their counterparts in the legislative branch. The Judicial Council Standing Committee on Technology that you just heard from, co-chaired by Justice LaGrua and Superior Court Judge Kelly, and the ISC staff were all invited to present at the recent Council of Superior Court Judges Winter Conference in Athens. Thank you for the invitation. We are pleased to add several new videos to the AOC's social media feed featuring Superior Court Judge Cheryl Jolly and Magistrate Court Judge Robert Wolf as part of our ongoing series called Meet the Members of the Judicial Council. All our videos are archived on the Judicial Council's YouTube channel. We just finished filming Juvenile Court Judge Neil Brunt, and I cannot wait to see the final version of this. Thanks for all your time. The 33rd Annual Georgia Bar Media and Judiciary Conference will take place at the State Bar Building in Atlanta on Friday, February 23rd, and the AOC is a supporting partner again. The conference promises many interesting panel discussions, including one on high-profile cases that will feature Eastern Judicial Circuit Superior Court Judge Tim Walmsley. All judges and their judicial staff are invited to attend free of charge. A complimentary registration code to that conference was recently sent out to all judges via email. But if you didn't get it and you still want to go free of charge, please let me know and we'll get you a registration code. Our work to foster community engagement through civics education continues, and we thank Juvenile Court Judge Keith Galligan for speaking to the students in Gilmer County. Fulton County Magistrate Judge Todd Ashley and Chief Magistrate Cassandra Kirk volunteered to judge Fulton County Schools Social Studies Tournament. And we also applaud Chief Judge Russ McClellan, who invited students from Forsyth Central High School's workplace Spanish class to watch interpreters in action and to discuss the importance of qualified interpreters in legal settings. These are just a few examples of the wonderful work being done by judges all over the state to engage students and maintain trust in our court system. Court of Appeals Judge Gobiel said it so well in a recent Daily Report article touting the Judicial Council's civic education efforts when she said, "In these dynamic and often volatile times, it is important to get back to basics in civic education." I am proud to announce the return of the Judicial Council Law Day Art Contest. This year's Law Day theme is Voices of Democracy, and students grades K through 12 are invited to submit artwork inspired by that theme. The submission deadline is April 1st, and we're asking our Judicial Council members to vote at our upcoming April meeting for this year's winners. The December State Bar Journal featured as its cover story the recent changes to the Superior and State Court Appellate Practice Act, legislation supported by this Judicial Council. You can find an archived copy on the State Bar's website. A hearty thank you to Chief Municipal Court Judge Norman Quadra for speaking at our all AOC staff meeting in January. He did a great job. Judge Quadra, your devotion to servant leadership and your work on the Judicial Council's Standing Committee on Court Interpreters inspires us. Now, I'd like to welcome the newest members of our Judicial Branch family. We have Judge Warner Kennan's grandson, handsome guy. And then we've got little Winnie, daughter of Nellie Berry at ICJE. Look at that bow. So cute. In closing, the AOC is a service agency for Georgia's judges and a state right resource. We exist to serve you, the members of the Judicial Council, and our partners. As always, please call on us anytime that we can support your important work upholding the rule of law. With that, Chief, thank you.
Well, thank you, Ms. Clanton. Always a wonderful job in recognizing the outstanding work of judges across the state, work that not only builds up civic education, but helps build public trust and confidence in our courts. I'm very appreciative for everything they're all doing, and thank you for bringing that to the attention of everyone. Now move to item 7 in the agenda. Some of the materials, to the extent there are any, are found at tab 5. And we begin with reports from courts, councils, and the bar. I begin with a Supreme Court report. I have submitted a written report, and I will rely on that written report. Next, I turn to the Court of Appeals and Chief Judge Mercier. Judge Mercier.
Thank you, Chief. We have nothing to report today. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate your service. Next, Statewide Business Court, Judge Hamrick is not available today. He had a written report, and he will rely on that written report, I understand. Next, Council of Superior Court Judges, Judge John Morse.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Good morning to everyone. We have a written report that we would generally rely on. We just finished our winter conference, and now 225 strong, and we are grateful for the opportunity to continue to serve the state. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Next, the Council of State Court Judges, Chief Judge John Edwards from Valdosta. John.
Thank you, Chief. We would just stand on our written report, Chief.
Thank you, Judge. Council of Juvenile Court Judges, presiding Judge Warner Kennan. Happy grandfather. Judge Kennan. Is Judge Kennan still available? He submitted a written report. I'm presuming he will rely on that written report. Next, Council of Probate Court Judges, Judge.
I'm sorry, I was muted. What I was saying was, excuse me, Chief, you did a magnificent job with the state of the judiciary address. It was excellent. We stand on our written report. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Judge. Appreciate those comments. Now, Council of Probate Court Judges, Judge Danielle McCray.
Nothing to report, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. Council of Magistrate Court Judges, Judge Brandon Bryson.
Good morning, Chief. We're going to stand on our written report.
Thank you, Judge. Council of Municipal Court Judges, Judge Matt McCord.
Morning, Chief. We'll stand on our written report, but for 2 items. One is I'll just say thank you so much to Justice Peterson for his help with us on this legislation we're trying to get passed. We're pretty fired up that that's moving as quickly as it is. And Ms. Murphy from the AOC tells me that I'm supposed to invite all of you to our March 29th legislative breakfast at the Capitol. That'll be crossover day, and you are all certainly welcome to come be with us.
Wonderful. Thank you, Judge. Next, from the State Bar, President Tony Del Campo. Tony, welcome, and nice to have you with us today.
Good morning, Chief. As always, it's an honor and privilege to be here. When we last met, I mentioned to all of you that my priorities for the current bar year were well on their way, including infrastructure expenses, website, and our wellness initiatives. And I'm happy to report that we are still on schedule for all of those items. I also mentioned the bar support for the legislative proposals regarding judicial compensation. We will continue to support those efforts, and to the extent we can do anything else to support the Judicial Council, we are happy to do so. In fact, we had our annual legislative dinner with the members of the House Judiciary, and we had a good opportunity to talk to a lot of those folks. As Justice Peterson indicated, the bill came out unanimously from that committee. We're also exploring the rewrite of our rules regarding CLE. So stay in touch for that. Nothing's been done, nothing's been voted on yet, but we are looking at that. We're also looking to revamp the UPL committee. That's a department that investigates the unauthorized practice of law. And we would appreciate if any of you have any individuals that you think would be good in that role. We're always looking for individuals to staff those committees. So to the extent you have any folks that you think would be good in that, we would greatly appreciate your support of that. In a related note, we also want to work with the courts regarding issues surrounding lawyer competency. We had an issue just recently with a judge where a judge raised an issue of an attorney's competency. We've been working with those judges to address those issues. You, as members of the Judicial Council, as leaders in your specific areas of courts, are in the best place to let us know if there are any issues that we can help you with regarding lawyer competency, whether it's substance abuse, mental health, or any other issues that could arise. So to the extent that we can be helpful in that regard, please let us know. Lastly, we are in the process of identifying candidates for our general counsel position. Paula Fredericks will be retiring in the not too distant future, and we are working very closely with the court as we recognize that position has a huge influence on the judicial system, and we're working with the court in identifying the appropriate individual to serve in that position. Thank you guys so much for having us. And again, anything we can do to help you, please do not hesitate to let us know. That is my report, Chief.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. And let me just say, we were very fortunate to have people like Tony Del Campo and his predecessor presidents and those to come that are willing to sacrifice so much to serve the members of our state bar. Tony wrote a wonderful article in the Georgia Bar Journal that I read last night on the unauthorized practice of law and the efforts the state bar is making to combat that issue. I commend that article to you for your reading. And I thank you, Mr. President, for your service. We really appreciate not only your service and your sacrifice, but your collaboration and your willingness to help the courts do their constitutional duties as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge.
With that, we move to tab 6 and item 8 in the agenda, reports from additional judicial branch agencies. And I begin with the Council of Accountability Court Judges and Taylor Jones.
Good morning, Chief Justice. Good morning, members of the Judicial Council. We're going to stand on our written report, but highlight one important thing. We released our annual report on January 19th. A copy is available on our website, and we encourage all members and all on this Zoom to please check that out. I am pleased to report that since fiscal year 13 to the close of fiscal year 23, so a 10-year period, accountability courts in our state have served 34,924 eligible participants. It's a number we're very proud of. We're thankful for your support, and that concludes our report.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Appreciate the work of the council. Next, we move to the Georgia Commission on Dispute Resolution and Tracy Johnson.
Tracy is not with us this morning, but I will be giving our report, which means me telling the council that we will be standing on our written report. Thank you, Chief Justice.
That's a terrific report, Judge. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, the Council of Superior Court Clerks, Stacey Harrelson or Mike Holloman, has a written report.
Thank you, Chief. I'm here this morning. Stacey Harrelson, Mike Holloman's with us as well. We recently updated our council's criminal data exchange standards to add to the full CDX board standards, and they've been included in your packet for review. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your service. Next, the Chief Justice's Commission on Professionalism, and Carlise Greer is unable to attend, but I believe there is a written report and they will stand on that written report. Next, the Georgia Council on Court Administrators and Lenora Hawkins-Ponzo.
Good morning, Chief Justice. We will stand on our written report as well.
Thank you very much. Next, ICJE and Lynette Moore-Nelson.
Good morning, all. We will stand on our report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nelson. Next, we turn to item G, a report from the Judicial Qualifications Commission and Executive Director Courtney Veal. Ms. Veal, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Chief. The JQC has nothing new to report.
All right. Next, last item, item H, and the Georgia Association of Juvenile Court Clerks, Samantha Cannon.
Thank you, Chief Justice. We will just stand on our written report.
Okay. I appreciate the reports from these judicial branch agencies and appreciate all the work you all do to support the judicial system in our state. Is there any old business that anyone would like to raise at this time? Is there any new business?
Chief, I have one quick thing, and this is the nature of the legislative process is that we are always sort of on our toes and adjust. The House Appropriations Committee has communicated to several of you who are scheduled to be there that they are looking to meet earlier than they had anticipated because the House finished earlier. And for those of you that would like to get out of the Capitol Hill area before rush hour really kicks in, that's good news. But as a result, we're gonna not hold our 12 o'clock legislative committee meeting because many of you who need to be there need to be in appropes. If anybody has anything for the good of the order, reach out to me or Tracy Mason directly. And if you are planning to be in the appropriations meeting and you haven't checked your voicemail or email, you will want to do that now.
And thank you.
Chief, if I can piggyback on that, I literally, as the presiding justice was speaking, have a new notice that the meeting will be at 11:30, but that staff is aware that individuals are trying to get there, so that it'll be sort of a free form agenda in terms of who's there will be next. So be advised.
All right. Thank you for the update from both of you. Any other new business? In the nature of concluding remarks, and before I adjourn, let me just say that what a privilege it is to be head of the state judiciary and to be assisting roughly 1,600 judges in matters that are important to them, matters that improve the administration of justice, in matters that uphold the rule of law and improve access to justice. You should all know that all of the work you do helps build public trust and confidence in our courts. I'm proud of the work that all of our classes of courts are doing in that regard, and I thank you for your service. You need to know that our next meeting, which is going to be a general session meeting on Friday, it will be held Friday, April 12th at 10 a.m. in person at the Nathan Deal Judicial Center. So that is an in-person meeting. The rest of the calendar year 24 meeting schedule is at the bottom of the agenda that has been submitted to all of you. So you can refer to that for reference. Is there any question or anything for the good of the order before we adjourn? Well, hearing nothing, thank you all. Hope you have a great weekend, and I appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.